Hello, I'm Dr. Lisa Belisle. You are listening to or watching Radio Maine, where each week we explore and celebrate creativity and the human spirit. We are sponsored by the Portland Art Gallery in Portland, Maine. This is the 18th episode of the Bountiful Path, a Radio Maine series. Today's reflection is called The Thread That Holds. There are two pieces that hang on the walls of my home, two quiet, unobtrusive pieces that many visitors walk by without noticing. But for me, they are touchstones. They carry stories of patients who trusted me with their care, and they remind me of the unseen ways we influence one another's lives. They keep me humble, they keep me grateful, and they keep me connected to the thread that ties one life to the next. The first piece is a framed passage attributed to Monsignor Oscar Romero. It begins with the line, "This is what we are about," and goes on to say, "We plant seeds that one day will grow. We water seeds already planted, knowing that they hold future promise." The day my patient gave me this piece, well before 2018, when Pope Francis canonized Oscar Romero as a saint, I remember standing there holding it in my hands, struck by the simplicity and the truth of those words. In medicine, in leadership and parenting, and in all the other identities we carry, so much of the work we do is quiet. So much of it is long-term. So much of it takes root in ways we may never see. The second piece is a crocheted textile created by the older mother of one of my former patients. Her daughter handed it to me at the end of our final appointment with one another. She said, "My mother wanted you to have it." The crocheted pattern is intricate, the kind of handiwork that requires both patience and presence. Every stitch represents time she spent alone with her thoughts, creating something beautiful for someone she didn't know. It is a reminder that care often happens privately, behind the scenes, before anyone recognizes its significance. These two pieces hang not far from one another, not by accident, but by instinct. They belong to the same conversation. One speaks of long arcs of influence. The other speaks of deliberate acts of creation. Together, they remind me that the work we do in the world is rarely about immediate results. It is about the slow accumulation of moments that often go uncelebrated at the time, but that ultimately form the foundation of relationship and meaning. Oscar Romero's passage continues with the line, "We cannot do everything, and there is a sense of liberation in realizing that." Those words have followed me through my career. Early in my training, I learned that I could not fix every problem, save every situation, or resolve every struggle. It was not my job to complete the story. It was my job to participate in it faithfully, to contribute a thread. Someone else would pick up that thread in the future, often without my knowledge. There were many times in clinical practice when the truth became clear. A patient might tell me, "Something you said last year stayed with me," and I would have little memory of the exact conversation they described. Or a family might bring me an update months after a loved one had passed away, wanting me to know the peace they eventually found. These were not moments I orchestrated. They were outcomes shaped by threads woven together from many directions: family, community, resilience, timing. And sometimes a physician who simply showed up and listened. Over time, I began to understand how many threads others had woven into my own life. My father was one of the strongest contributors to that tapestry in medicine. He practiced medicine for nearly 50 years. His patients trusted him not only because of his skill, but because of the presence he brought into the room. He listened carefully, he documented small observations, he remembered what mattered. Long before I entered medical school, I was absorbing his way of being. His influence was never loud, but it was lasting. The crocheted piece on my wall echoes this. Its maker would never know how much her work would impact me. She had no way of knowing that her quiet hours spent crocheting would someday hang in the home of the doctor who cared for her daughter. She did not know that I would look at it on days when I felt stretched thin or uncertain. She did not know that her work would remind me that beauty often comes from the effort made in private with no expectation of recognition. Oscar Romero's passage guides me similarly. When I read the words, "We are prophets of a future not our own," I'm reminded that our contributions ripple outward long past the point where we can track them. We influence people in small ways that expand in larger patterns. The smallest gesture, a listening ear, a steady presence, a question asked with genuine curiosity, can become a turning point in someone else's life. This idea has carried me through many transitions, parenting children who are quickly becoming adults, stepping into new leadership roles, navigating loss, and rediscovering creativity through writing. The threads others have offered me have become part of the thread I now offer to others in my writing on the Bountiful Path. I often return to the quiet connections that shape us, the fleeting conversations, the unexpected kindnesses, the moments of understanding that pass between people quickly but settle deeply. These are the threads that hold. The patients I cared for over the years taught me this more than any textbook could. There was a widow that told me she spoke with her husband every morning as if he were reading the paper beside her. There was the man recovering from substance abuse disorder who said that the smallest encouragement helped him feel like he still belonged in this world. There was the young mother who whispered that she felt seen for the first time in months when someone asked her how she was sleeping. Each of these moments strengthened the thread that runs between people. Each became part of a larger fabric of connection. So this week, I invite you to notice one thread in your own life. It might be something someone once told you that you still carry. It might be an object that reminds you of someone who helped shape who you are. It might be a habit, practice, or belief passed down quietly through generations. It might be a moment of kindness that met you at exactly the right time. Let that thread remind you that you are part of a story larger than yourself, and that your contributions, whether visible or not, continue to matter long after you offer them. If reflections like this resonate with you, I hope you will join me on the Bountiful Path, my Substack newsletter, where I write about presence, creativity, and the meaningful conversations that guide us through change. I'm Dr. Lisa Belisle. Thank you for listening to The Bountiful Path, a Radio Maine series sponsored by the Portland Art Gallery. May the threads in your life be strong enough to hold you and gentle enough to remind you that you are part of something enduring.